My name is Christopher Peter. A big win this weekend for my Philadelphia Eagles, who went into Arrowhead to face the Kansas City Chiefs. The Super Bowl rematch is what the media dubbed it. Same two franchises, but both teams have changed somewhat since February. And the Super Bowl is typically played in a neutral site. I like that the Eagles have made it clear they have turned the page and are focused on this year. The Kansas City Chiefs came into the game without two wide receivers, and the Eagles came in without their starting tight end. But I do not think either team will allow player availability to be an excuse, because one is due to bad behavior that led to a suspension and an injury caused by execution issues in the opening moments of Week 1. The media is going to obsess over the tush-push, as it will try to create narratives, and there was a false start that was not called. I do not accept the excuse that officiating it is hard. It is hard to defend, so it should not exist. A lot of things in life are hard. This is what happens when you have voices of people who were raised by nannies. The reality is that the game really came down to decisions made and moments where the Eagles stepped up. This was a close chess match where everything was earned. The Eagles did not have an explosive offense, and the Chiefs were clearly reliant on Patrick Mahomes to be the offense. Both defenses controlled the game. So, it was very interesting to me when the Chiefs made the decision to go for a fourth down on their side of the field on the opening drive of the second half. Obviously, if they made it and scored, the decision would look different. But, at the moment, it seemed like an unnecessary risk, based on the fact that their defense was playing well. They were stopped and the Eagles were able to kick a field goal, which equals the margin of victory. The big defensive play of the interception off Travis Kelce was probably one of the highlights, but really it came down to that decision to go for a fourth down, calling a running play that was stopped. Mahomes finally completed a pass on the third or fourth time the Eagles left Thornton inexplicably wide open to cut the lead back to that field goal. This was a big game from a media and fan perspective, and it is a big win for the Eagles as they have a tough start to the 2025 schedule. But, I still would not count out the Kansas City Chiefs. Once they get back healthy, they can still make a run. Although, I think they may not be at the same level as those Super Bowl teams. Father Time always wins. As a Philly fan, I am biased, but I staunchly do not believe that you ban something simply because someone else is good at it and others struggle with it. Sports is supposed to be the ultimate meritocracy and maybe the last true stance where effort, innovation, and perseverance actually determine achievement in America. I agree that the referees should have done better in officiating, but the media attack is unwarranted and embodies the sentiments that have harmed our society. Week 2 kicked off with the Green Bay Packers taking on the Washington Commanders at Lambeau Field, the second game with Micah Parsons in the green and yellow. While still on a snap count, by the way. The Packers are heavily favored to potentially win the Super Bowl by the media following the trade and are backing it up on the field. The Washington Commanders made it to the NFC Championship game last season, making this matchup one to watch. Despite the close score, the Packers showed they right now are undoubtedly a contender. Their defense played great against Rookie of the Year, keeping him contained for most of the night and being able to stop crucial plays when needed. Jordan Love has wideouts that can create opportunities, but he did show some accuracy issues when throwing to open receivers early on. On back-to-back plays, he was too long and then too short to the same receiver on the same route concept, but he got better after that. That really was the only thing that stood out for potential to work on. Micah seemed ready to get back to normal and seemed comfortable basking in the "Thank you, Jerry" chants that rang out during the post-game show. Jerry Jones seemed to take it in stride based on the clip available on social media, but that is expected when you trade a player like Parsons, at least for the short term. While the Packers are clearly in contention, the Buffalo Bills are right there after having the best win of Week 1. And this week, they showed Jets fans that their head coach and quarterback may be different, but the Jets getting bludgeoned by the Bills will remain the same. The Bills went into MetLife and dominated from beginning to end. Week 1 can be misleading. The Jets came out and played a great game against the Steelers despite losing in the end. From the second play of the game, the Jets regressed to the team of old. On defense and offense, they simply did not play great at all. Then Justin Fields left the game to injury. Progress is not always linear, though. The Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants played a high-scoring game that came down to a deep kick by the long-distance kicker, Russell Wilson. Malik Neighbors and the Giants elevated their game against the Cowboys, probably alleviating some pressure from the fan base. They went into Dallas and played a great game compared to where they were last week. For the Cowboys, it probably is a bit concerning despite the win. After their loss in Week 1, it was hard not to see the potential in the team. Now, they look worse despite scoring double the points and winning the game. A win is the objective, and that is what they got. So just work on the flaws that are fixable. And try not to trade any more stars. Reportedly, they added Clowney to fill the Parson void. The Detroit Lions bounced back this week as their former offensive coordinator Ben Johnson brought the Chicago Bears into town. Back at Ford Field, the Detroit Lions giving Ben Johnson a not-so-flattering chant, and the Chicago Bears the most lopsided loss any team has experienced this year. There is too much talent on the Lions to not rebound. Johnson and the Bears will have to wait to experience their first victory together. The Steelers did not have a great home opener against the Seattle Seahawks. Despite the talent bolstered by new acquisitions, the Steelers made some mental mistakes, preventing D.K. Metcalf from experiencing the same emotions of beating his former team like Rodgers enjoyed the week before. Both teams end this week 1-1. The Indianapolis Colts have yet to punt this season. Through 2 games, their punter has collected a paycheck and has yet to see the field for his primary function. That is a good sign. This week the Colts faced a team in the Denver Broncos who some feel is poised to make a deep playoff run. In this game, the Colts showed they were the better team. The game came down to a kick that was initially missed, but you are unfortunately not allowed to propel yourself off the center, as they are quite vulnerable in the play. The Broncos did and gave the Colts another chance, one they took advantage of. The Colts are 2-0, still too early to project, as the Saints started off with 2 wins last year and changed their coach at the end. The Baltimore Ravens righted the ship with a win over the Cleveland Browns. The Ravens played great for 3 quarters last week in their rematch, and once again, the winner of the original big game won the rematch as well. In a closer, more dramatic manner, Baltimore left no drama in this matchup, dominating the Browns team that is stuck in a perpetual rut. Elsewhere in Ohio, the Cincinnati Bengals saw their starting quarterback leave the game with a turf toe injury and they rallied to win their second straight. But the news on Joe Burrow was not positive, as the elite passer will need surgery and will miss at least 3 months, potentially 12 games of the season. The Bengals invested a lot in their roster, and the team will need Jake Browning to lead the way and their stars to step up to fill the gap. Trey Hendrickson, one of the recipients of those funds, helped seal the win with a sack of Trevor Lawrence. The Los Angeles Rams went into Tennessee and kept their winning ways going against Cam Ward, the top overall pick, and the Titans. The Rams are another team that pundits believe will be a contender at the end of the season, and they have shown their toughness each of the last 2 weeks. But keep in mind that the 2 teams they beat have yet to win a game. The battle of the smallish but skillful quarterbacks was won by the home team of the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray kept his team undefeated with a win that they almost gave away. But Bryce Young met Calais Campbell to end their hopes. Neither team really seems like a real contender, but there is still time to round into shape. 6 days after leading his Vikings to the first victory in the McCarthy era, J.J. will once again miss football games due to injury, following a poor performance against the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix and the Falcons seem to be moving the ball at will early and often. And week 2 must have been the designated week to go for it on 4th down on your own end and not make it. Fairly easy win for the Falcons. The 49ers are 2-0 with a win over Kellen Moore and his New Orleans Saints. Mac Jones led the Niners to a victory. Interesting that ESPN kind of foreshadowed the event when Dan O claimed that Mac Jones could lead the Niners in the same manner as Brock Purdy, in which he scored more points and had a larger margin of victory, albeit against a lesser opponent. I went out on a limb and predicted the Miami Dolphins to upset the New England Patriots at home. They played better, but gave the Patriots the first win in the Vrabel era. It will be interesting how long Mike McDaniel can last as head coach and who they may part with before or at the trade deadline. So much talent, but hanging on by a thread. Week 2 ended with a Monday night doubleheader. First, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers faced the Houston Texans in Houston and won a back-and-forth game. The best path to being a head coach seems to be as the offensive coordinator of the Bucs, even if they do not want to allow you to interview. But the Bucs continue to be that resilient team that finds a way in the end to have a chance. The Texans are now 0-2 and seem to be on a bit of a slide in terms of organizational momentum. C.J. Stroud showed football fans that rookie quarterbacks can win playoff games, but the Texans have been stuck in that same space, not seeming to get better than the second round. And now they are 2 games behind a team that is yet to punt. Not a great place to be, but still very early. The Chargers put Kansas City in that same spot by easily defeating the Raiders in Las Vegas. The renewal of the Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh rivalry seems to have changed in favor of Jim Harbaugh, as the Chargers are clearly the better roster. The Raiders are going through another rebuild and looking for some level of stability. But the Chargers ensured they experienced continuity in losing another AFC West battle. Still, they are 1-1. The Eagles continue to win regardless of how it looks. They played a well-coached opponent in the Chiefs, who are probably the most dangerous 0-2 team in the league right now. And they still have room to grow, and the talent to reach the heightened expectations. A tough schedule this year, but just win is all they need to do. The Lions bounced back in a big way. They righted the ship after being dominated by the Green Bay Packers. A big statement with all the questions about how well they could be without Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. They showed Johnson they are just fine without him, but we still need to see them beat a team that has won a game. The Green Bay Packers probably have the best resume this season. Beat last year's division winner, conference top seed, and followed that up by beating the Washington Commanders, who made the conference championship game last year. They looked decisively better than their opponents, which is a good sign for their fans. And they may continue the trend of quarterbacks winning a title for Green Bay at the age of 26. The Steelers are the ultimate wild card this year. Had a great showing on the road in a game that Rodgers really wanted to win. And played not so great in a game that D.K. Metcalf probably wanted to win just as badly. But they still have time to gel and grow as a team with all the new parts. But they are trending downward after this weekend. And the Cowboys are trending downwards, despite winning. They were facing the Giants, whose fans were clamoring for a change at quarterback following one game. A week after they played pretty well against the Eagles. A missed opportunity to consolidate that good showing with a second strong outing. But they won. The Pittsburgh Steelers take on the New England Patriots in Foxborough. Both are 500 teams. The Patriots are still rebuilding and growing as a young team. The Steelers are a team that went all in this season. I think the Steelers will bounce back and win a close game. The Los Angeles Chargers welcome the Denver Broncos into SoFi Stadium. Both teams come into this game with high expectations that can still be fulfilled for the season. The Chargers are positioned well, but the Broncos can join them at the top. A penalty kept them from being undefeated through the first 2 weeks. I will pick the Chargers to continue winning. The Lions take on the Ravens in Baltimore. A great matchup of two talented rosters that bounced back from tough losses in Week 1. My knee-jerk reaction would be to pick the Ravens because I think they are a harder team to stop than the Lions based on what we have already seen. And they are at home. But the Lions have a lot of talent. I have a feeling that the Lions will prevail. I am sure NBC wishes they could flex their Sunday night matchup of two winless teams. The Kansas City Chiefs potentially still without their two wide receivers and the New York Giants, who may have to switch to Jackson Dart after this week. This could be an interesting matchup from MetLife. But I think the Chiefs will be able to find a way to win. The Giants have a good defensive line. But I think the Chiefs will control this game. The Cardinals will travel to Santa Clara to face the 49ers. Both teams are undefeated in a division with 3 undefeated teams. But there might only be one undefeated team left after this weekend. Brock Purdy may have a chance to play in this game. I will pick the Cardinals to upset the Niners at home, who will be without Kittle. So I have the Steelers, Chiefs, Cardinals, Chargers, and Lions. I was 4-1 last week in my picks.
Our Philadelphia Phillies have clinched the National League East. Congratulations, and we are looking forward to another Red October. While money spent is important in baseball, sometimes the best teams can prevail against the big spenders. The Phillies are big spenders. There is no denying that. But I think their roster is really connected and plays cohesively together. Of course, I am worried about having the time off if they clinch a bye, but I think they will be better prepared this time around and will not go completely cold like last year. Last year, they were clearly not the same team after the All-Star break as they were before. But this year is much different. They have been resilient and consistent. Many people threw their hats on the Mets, who started off great, but slid almost completely out of the playoffs, but they will likely make the field. The Phillies just keep winning. They got swept by the Mets in New York. Then got back to winning. Eventually sweeping the Mets in Philly. Just keep winning. They are well managed. Have an abundance of talent and are poised for a run. But let us keep the same focus for the rest of the season and postseason. Take it one game at a time. A big thank you to all of you who experienced the Christopher Peter Review, our podcast episodes, or our blog posts. Please remember to continue to visit www.crcreview.com for more content, and do me a favor and like and subscribe.